and welcome to another ECAC Apex Legends broadcast, but this one is a little bit different because we are jumping into the start of our playoff series. I'm Artie, alongside me is Liz, and also, Liz, what is your kitty's name for everyone to know as well?
This is Bean coming in as our third, but not only third caster. Today we'll also be seeing some from PT Loser, who you guys know and love from our Apex streams as well, popping in to provide some insight between matches.
Yes, and that insight's going to be important. Perhaps some players will hear it out eventually at some point, but everything's a little bit different considering this is playoffs. We're going to go with a style of gameplay that is more reminiscent of the professional league of Apex, but for everyone who is just joining us for the first time, you missed any of the prior weeks of our Apex Legends broadcast because 7 weeks is a lot of times to have to make sure your butt's in a seat for every Tuesday. We can actually hop on over and take a quick look at all those final circles. These highlights are brought to us by Advanced GG, the best gamer supplement out there. So if you want to up your gaming game, be sure to go to advancedgg.com. And without further ado, let's take a look at how all of those final rings shook out for these squads. They're trying to get to safety because that high ground is now outside of the ring.
And this ring is ticking for infinite damage. They're able to sustain in this cubby for a little bit as these projectiles and this Bangalore ultimate is coming online now. Goats Eats Grass and them are bunkered up on this undercarriage, and they're going to have to rotate out and fight this 3v2 situation here. Nice damage from Goat Eats Grass. The squad wipe incurs, and now it's a 3-on-3 endgame final. Xeno plays with the Horizon ultimate coming online as well.
This is the final round. There's 30 seconds and some change left standing, using shields, trying to stay alive as this ring is getting smaller and smaller. 23 seconds, one goes down, there's two down, there's still two standing, and the champ
trying to get some damage out here. No members of his squad remaining. Technically, he could try to revive, but it's not the smartest decision. He's just going to try to get to the placement points of two squads remaining, maybe third party here. And it looks like it's a 3-on-1. Bookworm is not looking.
Nope, Bookworm says I'm done.
Very good. Smoking where his box is going to end up. And there's one squad remaining here. And they're all bunkered in this building. Arcstar in the hand of Gordo. Will they be able to engage on this team? It's such a small box. It's like a crab trap, if you will. It's not going to be looking good for these teams. They're able to sustain through this, and the Rise ultimate comes online. It's going to affect his team more than the enemy combatants. They're stuck in this bunker, and there's still snares and grenades coming online. They're stuck in this corner. Grenades coming out. Cracking of shields potential. Both teams are trying to sustain. One player gets knocked. Rise go for the no-scope. Catalyst ultimate coming online as well in this building. What is happening? San Jose State has a member knocked. It's a 2v3. Revive trying to come online there, which means he can't utilize that shield. Nice spam damage coming online here. Extremely lost is 1 HP of the Dream. Gordo now has to take this pressure. Is it enough to sustain through the fight? L-Star coming online. One member remaining of the enemy combatants. And 30-30 repeater.
DCU still in the game, holding down their position inside this ship.
DCU has been in this positioning time and time again, but they're the opposite angle of where the zone is pulling. They have to rotate. They're ever so low on HP, and it is Damo the Lamo and his teammate on the high ground. This is the best spot to be, regardless if you're down a team member, and now a thermite grenade on lock. That is the spot. They've been hitting the camp button, and that's GCU Moonlight directly behind them. This is a potential pincer angle. I'm nervous for Muskingum Black.
Muskingum definitely has the right idea being up here, but that does make them so vulnerable. Everybody is looking at them quite literally. We all want to be king of the hill right now, especially as GCU closing in on the right side. Dama the Llama and Plant Mantis are getting pincered off as we see another team taking a fight just below. Ready to push up though and third party them. And Muskingum is out. GCU is taking it down to 3 squads left. I believe
Yeah,
we have GCU and CatU up.
CatU still has 3 members remaining. DCU has 2, but they have the high ground. And this is a spot they've been in so many times. Is now the time that they finish it off. But it's just Order. But if Order's the one to do it, they are on 9 eliminations this match. It's a 1v3 situation. Can he pull it off?
I am torn right now. I'm rooting for Order, but CatU, that was my prediction, and I gotta stand by it. I think they can pull this off, but Order has shown us that they are not going down without a fight at all.
Now, too, especially when there's a Kraber in the lobby. That's a 140 body shot, and that is just a time to get knocked if you don't prioritize putting those shields up. GFU Esports in a really good spot, but the zone is pulling towards this high ground that they've had to ignore for quite some time. This is now the time they have to take this engagement. Horizon Ultimate online, though, from Goat Eats Grass.
Southern Arc ready to take this fight, pushing towards Muskingum as the ring closes on them. Catalyst Wall forcing them into each other. Getting a knock here for Southern Arc. It wasn't me going down. It's a 2-man squad for the moment. Hawks, Plant Madness, TK64, and Goat Eats Grass are all that's left. TK64 getting a kill, becoming the new kill leader for Goat here with 6 picks. GFU Esports pushing high up here onto that upper level. Southern Arc still holding up down the high ground. GFU ready to move in and take this fight here. GCU jumping down to kind of pincer them off. Looks like CatU, unfortunately, out of the fight here. The GFU and GCU are going to tackle each other soon.
Arcstar is coming online, and that Horizon Ultimate is pulling them in. That's a lot of damage. GCU going down. It's now a 3-on-3 action to this final circle. GFU is ever so low as they took this engagement. Knock to knock. There's only one member of this squad remaining. It's Xeno Plays in a dream.
Solid. We had some great team play here, working around those catalyst traps really well. Even when it wasn't me, he was down and alone to just one. Never got out of the fight. Kept going the entire time. Playing around these doors super well in this tight enclosed area here. Didn't work out for Southern Arc today, but again, another team we want to keep our eyes on here. They did
60 damage as we're taking another fight here. 2 squads left. San Jose State and the Zelf team.
And this is a brutal last ring, a little natural cover, so we're going to be utilizing those shield, that wall ability as much as possible. Getting some big cracks. San Jose down 2, Viking Cap alone against WSU here, doing their best.
Fights. They get cracked, they fall off. 2 members on 2 members infinitely. Just rotating, making sure the cracks happen in their favor, and eventually these PK shots working in Russian Turkey's favor, getting some good damage, falling off again, popping a battery while his team wraps up.
CatU Apex is the first one to start striking as teams are coming out of the safety of these buildings.
And they are kind of forced by that ring that's closing in on them. We have 1 minute 32 seconds until the storm completely covers this map here. CatU risky at that full level. Evo pushing it on GCU here. Do they know Bookworm is right below them? They see little Baka right above them. Bookworm in a tough spot they do, and they get eviscerated. Now it is just little Baka left, but they're getting absolutely destroyed, and GC and Moonlight's been eliminated. Our top 3 squads. CatU is looking nice. They're fully healthy. We have Beast of the Hunt online from Shadow, trying to make it up that rock there.
Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to, and they have to brave the edge of the storm as they're rotating inside. But the issue now as they're working uphill is that the team up there already has an advantage, so they're going to engage fast and blitz them. They drop the smoke cover trying to sustain. We do see one gets cracked. There's 2 squads left standing. It's these 6 players out here that are mission is fired at them. They're going to use the smokes and try and perhaps rotate into a safer spot. They are the squad that has those red Evo shields, but then we see Daz and Shadow utilizing the smoke, engaging on to KAT-U Apex. Will they be able to find an elimination? Viking Cap is starting to get low, decides to hop out. The smoke has dissipated. It's a 2-on-1. Risky TV, are you going to risk it underneath the bridge to try and get Shadow eliminated?
They absolutely are, and San Jose State is going to go ahead and disengage for the time being, but they're certainly going to be closing in on it again. They can see the fight getting, they've been sonar detected, however, by a Bloodhound on an enemy squad, and they are in a really tough spot, low ground with only these boxes for natural cover, taking a lot of damage. Shmubby and Viking Cap still holding down the high ground, but extremely washed here, needs to get out, and maybe that Bangalore smoke is going to be the cover they need to move, but instead they're going to hang on tight, and Viking Cap gets knocked. Weber State JV has been eliminated. We are down to our top 3 squads.
San Jose State had a misplay, going for the pincer and not timing it right. They lost one. They've now KAT-U loses Risky TV and Dawes. Shadow falls. KAT-U eliminated. That the attention. I saw the vision of the pincer play, but you timed it improperly. Where San Jose State now able to utilize the cover of this bridge, get healed up. They are unfortunately down to just extremely washed, left standing. Russian Turkey, Shmubby, Bullswall. We're in 6 players still standing. The ult also is going to be used. They're bleeding out. They need help, and with that way, people are going to start swinging and trying to get these engages. There might be one team looking to do a late third party, but we'll have to wait and see, as we have GFU still all of their squad alive, 8 players left in a 3-squad engagement for Final Zone.
It looks like we have George Fox, ULL Black, and one other squad here surviving. Only 8 players in. George Fox going for that elimination and getting a knock onto the enemy fuse. They're now going to go ahead and check all these corners, make sure there's nobody hiding in any of these crevices. There are lots of little rocks here. Going to go ahead and revive TNPDX, but Watson is right up top. Diamond circling around, and Tox still on the east side here. They are being pincered off yet again. They weren't able to get the revive off on TNPDX. Wazoo has been eliminated. It is just GOAT and TK64 here. TK64 has been knocked down. Can GOAT survive this for George Fox? Go ahead and maybe get a revive out, or are they going to keep taking the fight with the wingman? Only 12 bullets left in that chamber. Going to take the time to heal up instead. These are our top 2 squads.
It appears as though GOAT is
State brawling in those Bangalore smokes. Meanwhile, Solar Toxin, it wasn't me, have made a break for it, taking out Falcon in the meantime. We still have another squad up to the north, hanging out on the boxes, waiting to rotate in a third party, but Southern Arc is closing in on these squads now. They are hungry for blood, and they are getting every single last kill they can, but one gets knocked, 2 get knocked. Southern Arc blues all down, but it looks like we have a... Except for it wasn't me who's still surviving. The Bloodhound falls!
That's your 3rd caster occurrence in this
I
one
need to stop talking.
We're down to the final 2 squads currently. San Jose State Shmubby, unfortunately, is falling.
Oh, thank goodness Kraber Hater is out of this round already. Some of a nasty Kraber shot from GOAT. Clocking 210 damage. Meanwhile, TK64 has gotten knocks on Cap Paladin 87 and Jay. That's Weber State JV knocked out by GFU, but it is just 1 left for San Jose State and for GFU. Only 1 alive on each squad taking this fight here. It's an all-out brawl, and there's still another squad hiding. Extremely washed, desperately trying to use those Wraith abilities, but gets knocked anyway, and it's Chorus Sonic.
Engaging into a space. We're down to 3 squads remaining. I think at this point in time, we're down to, like, you know, that prisoner's dilemma. Are you going to take on the other 2-man squad, or are you and that other 2-man squad going to mutually agree that you want to go against your 3-man squad first? As we have 1 get dropped, it's Fuse's shield's gone. Dawes is going to be eliminated. KAT-U Apex still down 1. Shadow very close to unfortunately dying. The shield is out there trying to survive. It looks as though Shmubby is going to be eliminated. Extremely washed is close to death as well. KAT-U Apex somehow still staying alive with Risky leading the charge. Shadow healing up currently.
As you guys saw when we briefly cut to desk, wow, my jaw has been on the floor for this entire past 2 minutes. I believe San Jose State, yep, only Extremely Washed left. This is clutch time for Extremely Washed, and if anybody can do it, we know they can. They've been putting out insane numbers, 8 kills alone this round, 5 assists, and they are so close to death, but so is the enemy squad. But can you...
All right, so that was how all of those final circles for the last 7-8 weeks, I can't math anymore, school is hard, have shaken out for every single one of those teams. And in case you're just joining us, yes, this is Apex Legends as part of the ECAC broadcast. This is our first ever entire Apex Legends series. We're going into playoffs. I am Artie, and this is Liz. And Liz, do you have a location where people might actually be able to find some information regarding our Apex Legends, at least the previous games up till this point?
Yeah, so if you missed any of those highlights from our past final circles, go ahead and check out the ECAC Twitter. I believe that is ECAC_esports. You can catch all of the highlights, any action that you've missed, and get live updates on this game as we go into it. So be sure to follow along on all the action there.
And I alluded to it before we hopped into those final ring highlights that were brought to us by Advanced GG, but we have a format change. Yes, we're going to be on one map for the entirety of this evening as per usual, but the way the teams are battling it out for points is slightly different because we are in what is known as a checkmate style of game. So during this entire series, the top 6 teams will get additional points on top of their placement points, and then, of course, there'll be kill points. Then, when a team hits 45 points, the next map that they win the entire series. So, yes, theoretically, if the math's right, there is a way for someone technically to walk away map 2 and be victorious. Now, also, if there is a tie for points, then after that, it'll go down to tie the highest kill points to end up picking our winner. Now that I've explained all this away, we can actually bring in all of the teams that will be competing today because, of course, there are 20 fabulous schools that'll be playing it out. We have GCU Pookies. I'm so excited to see them. I rooted on Moonlight for so long. And then we have San Jose State, GFU Esports, the Idaho Vandals, CatU Apex, WSU Esports, GCU Moonlight, ALL Apex Red, Weber State Varsity, and FC Apex.
And our next 10 squads are going to be Southern Arc Blue, Fanshawe Fuel, Weber State JV, UMT Grizz Wheat, ULL Apex Black, Muskingum University Black, RMC Apex, ODU Club Apex, WFU Coruscant, and LIU Apex. Of course, some of these names look familiar to you guys, but about 10 of them are completely new, and that's because, as we've been talking about over the past few weeks, this is the fusion of our top 10 teams from each of our lobbies. So throughout this entire season, we've been following our A group, and now our B group winners have joined us here for playoffs today. So this is the best of the best from 40 total teams that were competing.
And it's interesting for me, at least, to see that a school that had a team in both lobbies managed to get both of those squads into our top 20 teams. I think that just goes to show how well-rounded they are. It is going to feel bad when you have to eliminate your sibling squad at some point throughout the entirety of the series. But also to mention the fact that there are some top squads that we've been able to witness consistently, and that is, we've seen GFU predominantly on top of their game, but the last few weeks have been falling off. Southern Arc Blue has been slowly creeping their way up. Weber State popped off last week as well, so I'm curious as to who's going to pop off this week. Liz, do you have any thoughts on that?
I gotta go back to Old Faithful for me. They crept up into second place right at the end there after a few weeks of stagnating out. I'm really rooting for San Jose State to take it home today. I gotta go with my Silicon Valley family. Would be just a dream come true to see them win today. But like you said, there's so many teams that have really, really been putting out a strong showing, and a ton of teams that we haven't even seen before, but we know they've been doing well. So what do you think, Artie?
Honestly, I'm really hoping to see one of these other teams from our second lobby actually dominate today. Like, we haven't seen, obviously, anything from FC Apex, which that is Fisher College. I recognize the logo, and they're predominantly a school that produces very top teams. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go Southern Arc Blue because they are, in my opinion, a squad that's been very adaptable. In the beginning, they were very quiet, and now they're coming in very loud. So let's actually see what map they're going to be competing on today. today for playoffs. I mentioned it, it's the same map all day long as per usual, and we are going to World's Edge. It's not just going to be today, but the entirety of playoffs is all World's Edge. They voted on it, the players did, so this was not the TO just being like, yeah, this one. This was the voice of the people being heard.
And what a pick. I mean, I know I've hated on World's Edge in the past, but I've come to enjoy it over these past few weeks. And am I disappointed we're not seeing Kings Canyon again? Of course. But World's Edge is a really solid choice for a lot of these squads, and it is going to be a chance for squads like GCU, Moonlight, CatU, Apex, and GFU to redeem themselves after getting knocked out early in the past 2 weeks on this map. I mean, just last week we saw GCU Moonlight get eliminated first, run it back in the same location, and win that team fight again to get revenge for themselves. So World's Edge has a lot of memories for each of these teams, and they're going to be integrating that knowledge into their play today.
I'm excited to see what type of knowledge we have coming through. Historically speaking, we've seen a lot of teams like to surround the edges of the map, specifically that northeastern and northwestern corners. Also, we know that some teams prefer thermal station as well, taking early high grounds, using Bloodhound abilities to get information, figuring out where the circle is closing in on, and then they rotate and keep in mind that they want to stay in those high ground areas. Third partying early on has become the name of the game for these teams lately, especially taking down top dogs in the lobby. But when you're introducing new teams in that you've yet to play against, the question comes in, are you going to risk it to go after those third parties and possibly get punished? Perhaps we'll see it, and maybe we'll have some like dark horses come through for our final rings.
And like you mentioned, Artie, there's a lot of squads that have their go-to spots. I mean, GCU Moonlight, as we're going into the drop here, might just straight head back to Lava City. I know San Jose State, my guys for the week, always love Harvester. So let's see where they start to drop here. And of course, we have our dark horses from the B lobby. We have no idea where these teams are going to be dropping, and that could throw a wrench into our well-laid plans. So maybe a squad goes Harvester right along with San Jose State, and it looks like RMC Apex is in fact doing that. So we might see some action early on here as both of these teams' strategies collide.
Well, this is ULL Red currently lurking over near Lava Siphon, picking up gear, doing the Loop Goblin phase as per usual. It's definitely required for everybody, but we've not seen anybody thus far really land near where they're currently at. So I think this squad's going to be safe for now as they get ready to pick their engagements wisely, being meticulous. But then Southern Arc Blue, this is the other squad I was paying attention to and wanting to look at. They have already set their sights on one team in particular. The scan goes out. I'm not sure if it picked anybody up, unfortunately. They're going to continue to rotate forward and use this natural cover that's being produced by the building to not walk across the bridge. Instead, rain fire down from above and see if they can get an early elimination. The sonar detection goes off, and they are aware of where this one person's hiding in this cubby.
They're taking a unique strategy to get there by hopping up on top to hopefully cut them off at their exits here. And ODU Club Apex is in fact completely sealed in partially by those caustic barrels Perpdrank has set down, and they're already down one. Their Wraith falling early in this fight. Pookie is going all in here, and Southern Arc up top as well.
We saw a similar strategy utilized last week, but not so early in the game. Locking yourself down and pulling this much attention to your location with the caustic barrels can be a little bit rough. They also, unfortunately, have already lost their Wraith, which was how these teams managed to set up these traps with the caustic barrels. So hopefully they'll be able to revive Wraith. Yes, they will. So their get out of jail and set the trap card is in play. The question is, will it get triggered by another team, or will they fall fatal to their own concoctions? So we see another scan go out from Rubber Feet on this Bloodhound. Did find somebody, but I'm not positive this squad's going to continue with this engagement, as there is another team lurking nearby. They get the knock, and there's the elimination. And I do believe that's Tox. That's 18 squads left standing.
That brings us down to 51 players left in the lobby. And like we called it out earlier, these early third parties are already proving fatal. Now ODU is going to be in a really nice spot to keep moving on. We're taking a look at our mega map here, where we can see that the next zone is centered on the left-hand side of the map, meaning all of those squads along the right-hand side are going to have to run quite a ways in, including running into other squads also making a mad dash for the ring. Of course, we do still have just shy of 3 minutes and 30 seconds left on close, so they have a bit of time to make make it there. WSU Esports is one of those squads not quite in the zone yet, on their way.
They're also a squad that's running a 2-player team, which make things a little bit more difficult. They're looking to not get full engages, but they're wanting to get damage early on and then see if possibly they can find one player to take care of, but the odds of them getting a full 3-player wipe for another team is not very high, so they want that damage to get their shields a little bit higher. You can see them gathering intel, but they are above buildings, so they need to be careful considering there are obviously places to be seen from above in this situation. They decide to pick their target. It is a 2-on-2 inside of this building. Question is, which team's going to come out on top? Is it going to be the one that engaged first, which typically it is, but Wazoo seems to be struggling as they're stuck outside and trying to get a proper line of sight on everyone who's running inside.
And meanwhile, just above these teams, George Fox has posted up atop the skyscraper, and now they are raining bullets down on WSU as they try to evacuate from that room. Watson's able to make it out using that utility there, but is Zelif going to be able to make it with them? It looks like they are going to get out here, focusing on going for those shield cells, because today is playoffs. Every single point matters, and teams are not going to want to be taking crazy risks, which is probably why we're seeing Pookie here also with a fight fresh under their belts. They are moving on, but not going in and investing in another fight quite yet. Although there is one here, Caster Jinx.
I think if you're a full 3-player squad, you can risk it and go for it, but when you're playing as a 2-player squad, you can't. You need to play more meticulously. The question is, though, is WSU going to be successful in their 2-man squad as opposed to a team, for example, like GCU Pookies from our other lobby? First time we're getting to see them today. Already we can tell they've done at least some damage. The gray shields are gone, and it looks like, yes, they have found eliminations for this squad in total. So the question is this one of our dark horse powerhouses? Is they're taking these very bold rotations out in the open, trying to get teams that are on the ground. They have identified there is some over here by the house, and that there's some in the middle of this entire roadway. They're dropping a lot of util. We see the Horizon Ultimate online as well. They're engaging using the upwards elevation. They've dropped down the thermites, and they're chasing down their prey like ruthless hunters.
This team, you can tell the GCU blood is hot because Moonlight also has a very proactive play style like this. They want to take engagements that they know they can succeed in. And this other squad, I don't know who we're chasing yet. Is it GFU here? They are desperately trying to get out. They don't want an early fight. They don't want to get eliminated early. And just as I said that, another squad has gone down. We're down to 17 squads, 49 players left, and GFU is about to be sandwiched right between the Pookies and another squad here as they are taking this engagement.
GFU, notorious for a squad that likes to pick a high ground spot and lurk, is caught in a situation where we don't normally see them, which is rotating, trying to use cover and maybe get a pick on a team looking to get into the safety of the next zone. As zone 1 is currently closing down, we've got 20 seconds remaining. It's a light sunburn, so you can risk being outside of it for a few moments, but then you could run into the hard rock of another team who is setting a trap and waiting for those late rotations. So we have CatU Apex, never mind GFU Esports taking a lot of fire from above. The circle has begun to close. Round 1 nearly over. As we have one person try to fly to safety, I think they ended up getting knocked at the process, but might be able to get revived by a teammate.
And it is Shmubby and Viking Cap that get the knock onto TK64 here. Just Go Eats Grass left over for GFU. One of our top dogs again from Lobby A, facing off with, I believe, that is San Jose State there. I recognize Shmubby, and they need to make it out of the zone quick because even though it is only a mild sunburn, you're going to be burning through your resources by allowing yourself to stay there for any amount of time here. Meanwhile, GCU on the hunt yet again, going after these picks.
Pookie's squad goes for the Bloodthirst, picks up 2 that were knocked, utilizing the smoke for cover in that instance as well, possibly trying to just prevent a third party as they were in a tight corridor. It's GCU Moonlight, the sibling team, rotating closer to a couple other squads. We could see that there is, I believe, 4 teams enclosing on this one area. I know for a fact that that Bookworm player, that is GCU Moonlight. They might run into WFU Coruscant here very soon. Falcon and company will be trying to run away, however, because I think they just took an engagement and didn't go quite as well as they'd want. They don't have any eliminations to their team just yet.
We're taking a look here at Coruscant, one of our winners from last week's matches, and sort of a dark horse in and of themselves. They were hanging out at the bottom 10 of Lobby A and then really solidified themselves in the last week. They know their strategy on World's Edge now, but for the time being, they need to make it into the safe zone as there's only 30 seconds left on the ring close, and they're still a bit of a ways away. All of our squads are starting to converge. You can see that dark green in the southeast was Coruscant, so they are still on the move. San Jose State here up on top of this greenhouse. They are taking the GFU strategy here and sort of waiting for squads to walk right into their sniper rifles. Cat U, on the other hand, in, I believe, the same location, playing low to the ground, still hoping for loot. They see San Jose State across from them, and Cat U and San Jose State, these two squads have gone up against each other time and time again in this series, and it's a coin toss every single time. We never know who's going to win this one, but looks like we have another squad just behind Cat U. This could get nasty.
Currently, we're looking at ULL Black. They're taking a long rotation, probably trying to avoid some of the teams that we've just heard. However, it's SJSU Apex Blue firing fire in onto one team that's trying to use a building for some cover. I'm not sure if it's going to be super successful. We do also note there's a care package being dropped by Viking Cap. Hey, there's one of your teams. And the little clap emote was perfectly timed by Schmubby. Question is now, Schmubby and Viking Cap, are the two of you going to be able to survive as you've lost one player? It's GCU Pookies. Again, they just dropped so much util trying to cut off paths of escape and disengagement opportunities for other teams to eviscerate them. And also they're able to use this util in conjunction to create a pseudo natural cover post the elimination of a squad to prevent the opportunity for a third party. And we do see we have Pander already at max shields, and we're not even in ring 2 hasn't even closed yet.
Meanwhile, poor Coruscant already down 2, desperately evading Pookie with that Wraith ultimate. ODU Club Apex also purple Evo levels. Most of these squads are starting to move up in the ranks here, but Rubber Feet completely out of shields. They need to prioritize refilling that shield here. Moonlight taking a fight. And they get the thirst kill onto Russian Turkey. That's another squad down. We are at 14 squads left, 34 players left. GCU risking it all by running into the storm to make sure they get that absolute squad wipe. And now, let's take a look at Weber State Varsity. Weber State JV has been one of our top teams for the past few weeks. Again, kind of like Coruscant, after hanging out in the bottom of the top 10 for a while, they really advanced their gameplay. And we are only at blue Evos across the board right now, and they have been sonar detected. This other squad has the advantage of a high ground in this fight, so they're going to need to evacuate, and Boss Carl does fall.
I am curious as a performance we'll see from Weber State Varsity, considering their sibling team's performance, but it looks as though they might be saying goodnight and goodbye, at least on map 1 here, relatively early, as they are getting pushed, and I believe it is now just Robot Ninja left standing, trying to run away. Lifeline is gone. That is the entirety of that squad gone. Southern Arc Blue still all here. They have those purple Evo shields up online. And it's just very interesting to see the dichotomy in the amount of damage that some of these teams are willing to put forward, as well as utility they're willing to use in comparison to the other squads. I mean, we haven't been able to look at all of these teams so far in general, but when we're popping between them, you can tell there are some squads that are going for a lot of early damage or eliminations, but not as many team wipes as we've seen in the past. We are currently in midway round for the third ring to start closing, and we still have 28 players left on this field standing somewhere in this map, but we're closing into that small zone, and we've got Cat U Apex doing what they did last week, using those caustic barrels to lock it down in here, and then Risky on Wraith will have the opportunity to actually get the squad out of here if a team gets too close for comfort, and they can go for a sneaky wraparound play. But it's GCU Moonlight we'll take a look at now. the other GCU squad. Let's see if they're going to be able to catch up to their other team, because right now, GCU Moonlight is struggling. Order gets dangerously low. They are knocked. Bookworm is also dangerously low. It is Little Baka left standing as Order is trying to use those shield batteries to get themselves healed back up. Little Baka dangerously low. Bookworm is bleeding out in need of help.
Order is going all in here, trying to save it all with a shotgun, and they do get 2 knocks out of it. And taking down, it wasn't me, but now it's just Hawks left for Southern Arc Blue, and it is just 1 left for GCU Moonlight, and it looks like Southern Arc is going to take it all as we drop down to 10 squads left, 25 players. GCU Pookies, meanwhile, two of their agents are at max Evo. They are the only ones in the lobby so far, I believe, who have reached this level, making them pretty much untouchable as they move into any of these next fights. You're gonna have to burn through just so much shield to even make a dent in their health here. And we have 9 squads left, another squad going down here, 22 players left. ODU locked into a fight, and they have been sonar detected as they are under this bridge.
Not to mention they're dropping more caustic barrels to try and give them a little bit of extra cover provided by their own utility, but I mean, these teams, at least thus far that we're seeing from these newer squads, are doing a fabulous job of being loot goblins, but then progressing forward and picking up additional loot and using that to be forward pushing into other squads. We're back on ODU Club Apex. They're still stuck in this small area. At some point, someone's going to notice that they are there and try to take them out, but it will be a trap. However, they don't have the get out of jail free card that we see from another team that set similar traps. We have the Pookies taking out a squad down below, trying to pick up some utility. Unfortunately, I think they are gone now as we're left with 8 squads standing.
And that was San Jose State knocked down by the Pookies. 8 squads left. Man, Southern Arc is still looking good. I saw GFU, another one of those squads that still has a full 3 players with full purple Evos as well. So we are getting into our final groups here, and it is all coming down to what resources you have available to you. GFU into a fight. TK64 gets knocked. Xenoplays and Godie's Grass going down. Xenoplays half health, no shields. GFU has been eliminated by Southern Arc. 5 squads left, 14 players. These teams are putting their all into this field right now, and ODU surviving a really long time. We haven't seen them take too many team fights. They're probably going for those placement points, at least in this first round, while they learn how everybody plays, getting used to the play styles from the squads in the A lobby. CatU Apex also a full and healthy team, but they only have those blue Evos, which is going to put them at a disadvantage fighting against squads like Southern Arc Blue.
Not to mention they've got blue Evos and they're basically dead center of our final rings location where everyone can just encroach on their safe haven and look to do damage. I'm not positive these squads have seen the previous broadcasts and are aware of how CatU plays because we saw the Wraith portal up. We know their plan of attack here. The whole idea is to bait them in, walk back outside, surround and conquer them. Question is, will it be successful in this instance? As GCU Pookies, they are a squad I'm terrified of at this point, considering how of a dominant force they've been thus far. We do see they get another knock, I believe, but aren't going to be able to engage because of the long distances. You know, we're using a Kraber. We do have someone named Kraber Haver previously in these lobbies, but nonetheless, those long-range shots are deadly.
They are, and GCU Pookies is doing something that can be really, really tricky to do when you have another squad from the same school, being able to turn off your brain, forget any school affiliation, and treat every single team you engage with as an enemy that you need to kill in your path to victory. GCU has been taking these fights ruthlessly, and you never quite know what squad it is that you've wiped until the very end there. So, Pookies now out in the open using these loot boxes as cover. They can sense that there are some folks in these buildings here, and they're going to need to make a move if they want to secure themselves some cover in this final ring. There's only 10 seconds left to close, and 4 squads, 11 players are going to be converging into this tiny final circle. That Bangalore ult coming online, forcing the Pookies to engage on the squad that is hidden inside. I believe that might be CatU Apex there. Pookies are still in good shape. We got some damage in, but they're all able to pop a shield cell. And there's that Horizon ultimate to give them some verticality and allow them to escape, moving into this Bangalore smoke and getting crazy damage out. That is a squad wipe for the Pookies. 3 squads left, 8 players left, and I believe Pookie Pander is our kill leader.
It's Solar Talks, and it wasn't me engaging. And it looks possible third party attempted being done on the GCU Pookies will not end up working out. GCU Pookies still standing. They've lost. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but Who's Your Daddy is currently down. The revenge play does not work out either. It's just Pander left standing, and the champions are Southern Arc Blue for map number 1.
There you go, Artie. That prediction has paid off, even though it was at the cost of our GCU squads as well. I'm kind of shocked by that turn of events. The Pookies had set themselves up for success so brilliantly. I don't really know what went wrong for them there, except for that Southern Arc also had it all going on.
I really think it came down to a well-timed third party, and just the way that the Pookies had spread out, you could see that they had created a fan shape and were actually moving a little bit more spread than other teams typically do in the final circles, because they had the Kraber. They were able to basically lock down angles and then encroach on a space, which is what they were doing against KATU. But then their Kraber just did not notice Southern Arc waiting over on the edge, and they were just the perfect timing to walk in, knowing that they were trying to regen their shields and get back some utility from the kills that they had just found. Ended up getting the Pookies eliminated there at the very end, and honestly, Southern Arc Blue, for once, it actually worked out. Thank you.
It worked out beautifully for them, and again, at the detriment to that third team there that made the first move onto the Pookies, and a brave first move it was after they absolutely dominated this lobby. Let's definitely take a look at some replays. We can see if we can figure out how this all went down. GCU Moonlight was in a tricky spot here, and Order heroic with the Mastiff, able to get 2 knocks onto Southern Arc Blue, but Southern Arc Blue just recovered it beautifully. GFU Esports, another favorite for this series, but they went down pretty early as well. This has been kind of the narrative for them recently. The Pookies, however, dominating this round, but falling to Southern Arc at the last minute. It all comes down to the final circle. If you can survive there, that is where you need to put all your effort in. I guess that's the lesson we've learned today. But let's take a minute and hear from PT Loser as well. I'm sure that after specking that entire match, he has some thoughts he wants to share with us.
What's up, guys?
Hey!
Hello.
I'm happy to be
Chase.
back.
I gotta lay down the question for you, bro.
Of
I
course.
gotta lay it down. Okay, so we just witnessed the Pookies. They were doing great. They had the Kraber out, but as the person who's our analyst in this situation, do you think when I'm pretty sure it was Pander was up above the building and started firing down and just hard focusing in one spot, was that their undoing?
I would say it was just the creeping up of that individual and the side angle. They kind of jump scared. I could see that they got startled in their chairs, and then they took the fight, but then obviously one of their teammates got knocked, and then one of them got all of their shield depleted, and then that third party is just ever so juicy in that moment from your beautiful prediction, and they ended up taking the cake there.
Now, you have some experience playing collegiate esports, Chase. You said you could sense they were getting jump scared in their chairs there. So from your experience, I believe that. How do you think maybe the Pookies could have won that? Is there a way that you can kind of overcome those moments of just sudden you get caught off guard and it all goes wrong? Or is there just nothing they could have done there?
I think it's just that one individual player that's left genuinely just shocked. They had no idea that entire fight that they took in that building, for as long as it was, that they were there the entire time and just decided not to take the fight until they had that one-on-one moment. It's just unfortunate timing, and timings are the most tilting thing in this video game.
Timing diffs aside, from what we just witnessed, it was different, a little bit different than what we've seen. I think personally from like map ones, typically we have a very obvious squads. Like I'm GCU Pookies, you guys are the outliers right now, but everyone else seemed to be taking this really slow pace playstyle. And Liz touched on the possibility of it being trying to adjust everyone else in the lobby. What do you think this shift is going to happen for map 2? Are we going to see everyone kind of just being more bloodthirsty, or do you think people are going to get even more cautious?
I think from the sake of this transition period, like you mentioned, from going from playing with the same teams for so long, you build that confidence up from those 8 weeks that we played. And then you see over the next course of action, it's a fundamental reset. If you see some gamer tags that you're familiar with, or you see a specific comp that you've seen for a while, you see that confidence immediately skyrocketing. So you see some of those teams kind of get more confident, build that up. But this is week 1 again. It's a real reset for some of these teams because there's so many. Again, it's a 50% from the lobby that you're really confident, and a 50% of I have no idea. I haven't seen these teams, and so it's a real reset. It's almost like week 1 again.
Well, Chase, the one thing that does change from it being week 1 to now in playoffs is that instead of going to Kings Canyon, we're returning to World's Edge for the remainder of our series, and these teams are actually ready to go, so I can hand you off so you can just observe and watch and enjoy and giggle at anything you find funny, and make sure you note down those moments so we can talk about it a little bit more when we pull you back in after map 2.
Sounds good.
And in Chase's honor, we will, of course, have to be calling out any bamboozles we see. But going into this next match, I really am wondering if any of these squads are going to be changing up their play styles. I think San Jose State, I'm still rocking with you guys, but they really got caught off guard by that early drop from ODU going to Harvester at the same time as them. When you're playing with 10 new squads, you have to anticipate that anything could happen, and so that may have been the wake-up call that these squads needed. As they drop again, I'm curious to see, as always, if we're going to switch up on our Old Faithful drop sites here. I saw GFU headed to, I believe, Survey Camp instead of Countdown or Skyhook like they normally go to, which was a bit of a change for them. But let's take a look at our mega map and see as they're dropping, and be sure to note the color of the team that you're rooting for so you can find them on our mini map.
Well, we've got some teams shaking things up. I mean, Southern are clear. This is pretty standard for how they like to play. They picked a squad, landed against them, and are deciding to go for the early bloods. But you lose Rubber Feet early on. That's Tox finding that initial elimination. They're going to just heal up. Basically, they chased this team away from the loot zone that they wanted to claim everything back. As now Perp Drink, unfortunately, Rubber Feet is in need of recovery, and Villone are the only ones standing for ODU Club Apex.
It is always so disheartening when you start the match and get down and out immediately. I know Rubber Feet is absolutely probably mauling in their chair right now, and it looks like Solar and Tox, along with It Wasn't Me, are going to continue to play bloodthirstily, getting low on those shields, but Solar and Tox each have picked up that blue Evo. Gonna go ahead and grab some extra loot from that Rollin' Ball. And on this map here, be sure to take a note of where your squads are. So it looks like GFU has gone back to Skyhook, their Old Faithful. We have Southern Arc taken on Harvester, but San Jose State has moved on from Harvester instead. That's an interesting play from them, and I think probably also a wise one, considering how it worked out for them last time. This is a nice central ring, too. This is going to make it really easy for everybody to get to that next zone, which means that the next few fights are probably going to all occur on the border of the top left quadrant, where we have 5 squads needing to migrate in towards the center.
It's the top left and the top right again where these teams are congregating, and it looks like basically over half the lobby is in that top echelon of the map. I'm a little worried. To me, that says everyone's really wanting to play for these early eliminations. They don't want to end up going against a squad with all red shields during the final ring. They need those shields themselves, so they recognize it, so they're changing things out. We're looking at AMC Apex firing down on a squad that's significantly further away than I think they want them to be. So their only option is to do a little bit of damage, try to scare them off, and then evacuate back into the buildings and rotate away.
And RMC Apex, a team we didn't see much of last round. in that Loot Goblin phase we all know and love. Weaver State Varsity, another squad that I'm hoping to really see more of because we know and love Weaver State JV. We've been rocking with them for 8 weeks now. And Varsity, I think, was one of those squads that got eliminated not early but not late, solidly in the middle of the pack. But Weaver State Varsity, LIU Apex, and that third squad there are all converged on the same area, breaking out in a fight here. There may be a third party as we have a squad up to the top left and a squad to the right of LIU Apex right now. And one is going down already.
What you can see the one who did end up getting down. We're trying to use smokes to provide cover for our teammates, but the deficit of doing so also means that you can't see when other teams are encroaching on your safe zone. This is FC Apex trying to determine if it's worth picking up the boxes, the coffins of the enemy team. We're looking at Weber State Junior Varsity, one of the teams that has a fellow squad here in this lobby as well. They are inside the building. Unfortunately, it looks as though one of their teammates is in dire straits, currently needing a little bit of tender love and care, and instead, to give them the space to do so, they're trying to chase after someone, but they didn't recognize they were getting pincered. Weber State Junior Varsity falls to WSU Esports. WSU Esports does have one player who's in need of some healing and is begging for it. Gets it, and I don't think they're getting third party. They should be saved. Now, GCU Pookies, at this point in time during game one, you had red shield, so obviously I think everyone tried to avoid you as much as possible.
Not only avoid you, but avoid really any battles. We're only down 2 squads right now. 16 squads left, 47 players in this lobby. But GCU Pookies is taking that high ground battle onto the squad, desperately trying to evacuate the area. It looks like that may be the remnants of WSU down on that supply bin. I don't know if the Pookies see them. And it is Fisher College that we're going up against here. That Bangalore Ultimate coming online to provide some coverage and allow Schmalz to go ahead and restore those shields to take this engagement. Fisher College also has blue Evos, I believe. So does the Pookies, making this a pretty equal fight. We didn't see a ton of Fisher College last round, but we know they survived pretty far, and that does mean something.
Fisher is going with the caustic barrels again inside of the building. It did not work out as well as I think they had hoped previously, and trying to go for the same strategy twice when other teams start to predict it could be a problem. We've got some smokes dropped in front of the GCU Pookies, so it's going to make it harder for them to find the damage that they want. They don't even manage to get a full knock onto someone that was crossing right in front of them.
And they're still taking this fight from such a far range, not far enough to avoid being sonar detected, however, which does give Fisher a bit of a leg up as they move into this fight knowing exactly where GCU is at and getting those cues as to their footsteps. And GCU, knowing that, has decided it is time to get out of dodge and move back into the safe zone. So let's take a look at WFU Coruscant. This time last game, kind of in a similar position. Full blue Evos, and taking a fight, again, across such a long distance. The squad they're up against does need to migrate out towards that rope because they are at risk of a sunburn, and that sunburn is working in WFU's favor, allowing them to put out a lot of damage as that squad makes a mad dash without cover for the safety of the ring. And because of the way the zones have landed, that is a bit of a ways for this other squad to go. Coruscant, knowing that, is able to just hang out in the same area, using those caustic barrels as cover that they can duck behind once the other squad returns fire, which there hasn't been a ton of so far.
The G7 Scout is doing a significant amount of damage in favor of Falcon currently, but those caustic barrels are a double-edged sword. Yeah, they provide cover, but at what cost? And the cost is typically you're gonna end up getting a little bit of damage beforehand as you're waiting for those barrels to get popped. And now, once again, it's Falcon looking around with this G7, doesn't see anybody. The question now I'm concerned is if you're consecutively staying in one spot, are you risking giving out basically to everyone, hey, I'm standing right here, are you going to come after me? Because at some point, someone's going to. It's just a question of when and how long it's going to take. We're now looking at GFU Esports, which at this point in time during map 1, I believe they were getting hunted down. So it's nice to see that this squad has made some adaptations as well and are choosing to be a little bit more passive and not just stand on top of a building out in the open.
And in fact, GFU has been really adaptable today.
They're camping.
They're taking on a completely new strategy, in
Picture of
fact.
this and send it to him and be like, new team photo.
I know we're not on Twitch, but somebody clip this. My goodness. So,
Dorks.
GFU hoping to get the drop on somebody who pops into this building to loot, I imagine. GCU also taking that long-range fight with a Hemlock right now, and then stopping to refill on that heavy ammo. Fair enough. All of these squads are wanting to engage at range right now, and fortunately a lot of them have the weaponry to do so, but we haven't seen any all-out brawls after the carnage of last round. I think teams are wanting to take it a little more slowly, avoid the Mastiff from Order that wreaked absolute havoc on these squads. But we're pretty far in, and there's still most of these teams left, and as you can see on our mega map right now, a heck of a lot of them are moving in towards that northern zone, including the Pookies, who are now pushing up on this squad that they've been firing at from a bit of a range. And they do get the knock and the team wipe, bringing it down to 14 squads left, 38 players in this next zone.
GCU Pookies needs to be careful. They took this fight very out in the open, and they did that previously, but other squads have learned already. They've adapted because they waited. There was 2 teams looking at the GCU Pookies team and trying to figure out when they wanted to go on the counterattack for that perfectly timed third party, but it looks like they might have taken too long and stood too far back, because I don't believe they are going to be able to actually fully get them knocked. Instead, they're actually going to benefit from forcing the GCU Pookies away, might be able to pick up some of the utility from those crates. Instead, they're just going to continue to press on forward. They have what they want and need, and they're slowly taking away the safety zone that is presented by the space between the GCU Pookies and the ring. And they're going to also clean up Who's Your Daddy. That's one of the GCU Pookies players. Now the question is, where are the other 2?
We saw fire coming from each side of that squad there. The Vandals are going to be cut off by the 2 remaining players, but let's take a look at Southern Arc, who is working their way through some catalyst traps here, taking up a stance in this building where they can get a nice line of sight all the way across to the glacier, allowing them to kind of survey that same bridge where we just saw the Vandals and the Pookies taking a fight, but it doesn't look like Southern Arc sees them. In fact, they see another squad in the opposite skyscraper. Both squads sending out those Bloodhound scans, getting the sonar detect, and they know where they are. It looks like Idaho Vandals also moving in onto the same complex here, taking some shots at it and using that portable relocation to be able to get that high ground quickly and take on this squad. They're going to go ahead and get the elimination onto Bloodhound Rusty G there. 37 players left in this lobby.
They're also going to continue to chase down the remaining players. That is a full squad gone. We're down to 13 teams left and 35 players left standing. It's GCU Pookies rounding outside the building, looking to surround another team. They've picked their spot to camp for a little bit, but the camping spot, look at this GFU, our team that was camping. Looks like they decided to not wait patiently above the doorway like we had earlier. They have decided to change it up a little bit, make a lot of noise, and try to get someone to walk into their territory.
And it looks like Wazoo is not taking the bait. Instead, they might be moving on or playing an elaborate fake out. That is always a possibility here. And it looks to me like they've completely moved on. And in fact, they have. They're taking up a residence just behind that boulder across to the west of GFU here, or to the east of GFU. They do know that GFU is still down there, though. And they want to maybe take that fight. GFU is going to brave the open air and the sunshine. They can hear those footsteps above them, and they're going to take on this battle. The Lone Ranger of Wazoo, who stayed on top of the building, is taking heavy fire, but so is TK64, who's completely out of shields.
Liz, hear me out. I think all of these teams have learned the tricks of the trade after map 1. That's a lot of teams like to set these traps in the building, and the question is, why would I walk in there? There's no need for me to do so. You have to eventually leave GFU, and they did indeed leave the building, so that was the whole ploy. They got them out of their zone of safety, and they did some damage, but not a significant amount in this instance, because obviously all of GFU is still standing. They're going to have to use the cover of these boxes to just stay alive, but the question now is, GFU, are you going to be able to rotate fast enough and to get to cover, because this other squad trapped you. Their plan was to get your attention, wait for the ring to close, force you outside, do some damage, make you use your utility, and then let you come into them as that ring closes down.
And that does seem to be working out for them. because neither squad has gone down, although we are down to 12 squads left. You can see where those squads are located, and none of them are in fact in this final zone, although the 2 survivors from Wazoo, Zelif and Diamond, are moving into it. It looks like we have 2 squads brawling on the western quadrant of this map. It's GFU, Schmalz, Silent Joseph, and one more to round out that squad are taking on a brawl right now. We do have some skirmishes happening in the south as well. There's going to be a lot of action in the south as teams are going to be fighting for control of those 3 buildings to the bottom, which are pretty much the only coverage that it looks like this final zone might allow. Although there are a few boulders, you don't really want a boulder when you could have a building with nice windows to shoot out of. That makes everything easier to defend. And one of our survivors is Weber State Varsity, who I believe is locked in a battle with GFU right now.
GFU is looking to close it out quickly, considering this ring has 10 seconds remaining before more space is taken away, and we're going to use those Valkyrie abilities, something that Chase has loved on the entire series thus far, to get to the high grounds and allow for a little bit more mobility for these squads. But you talked about that building cover. Honestly, I think the final ring doesn't even doesn't really even give you those buildings. I believe you are going to be having to trust your boulders and hide by them, as well as these utility boxes. So we have GCU Pookies running a charge at another squad, trying to chase them into situations where they might end up getting third party, because this other team, which is Falcon Company, got pushed up this hill and there's another team right behind them. I'm not sure if the GCU Pookies is aware of that. It's going to be a third party either way. We might see a double squad wipe here very soon. One squad has been fully eliminated again. We're down to 10 left standing. GFU Coruscant is choosing to heal up, but they're dangerously close to that storm ring, meaning they're going to start taking damage, and they need to choose. Do we push into the squad low on shields, or do we heal up here and still get burned?
And it looks like they are opting to take that Wraith portal out. The Pookie is putting a lot of pressure onto that portal, trying to prevent those squad mates from making their great escape. And I believe it has cut off one player who was knocked and is inching ever so slowly towards the safety of the Wraith portal. Falcon is going to pop out to protect their teammate, but then they can't because there's still so much pressure from the 3 teams crowded around this poor portal, and that is Coruscant eliminated, bringing us down to 9 squads left, 24 players in it, and CatU Apex. Only Martins left alive. Risky and Shadow both knocked. CatU desperately trying to heal up those shields so they can go for a revive, and GFU is sending out those Seeker drones. They are on the prowl. They know these squads are all crowded around these boulders, and this is their chance to make up what they might have lacked in placement points from the first round in elimination points.
And the question is, will GFU actually find these elimination points? They get a crack. I don't think they actually managed to get the full knock. No, as we end up pulling away from the full map, well, the first person, we ended up actually seeing a confirmation on a full squad wipe. But there is one player that's looking to get probably a last-second third party. Yes, this is them. Abs, I don't know if you have any util or anything, because you are a little worse for wear, but I respect the lurk. I wonder if it'll work out for you.
Hey, lurkers can change the shape of the game, as we saw last round. Rusty G pretty much setting Southern Arc up for success, and the Vandals have been eliminated. We're down to our top 5 squads, 14 players left in this match. ULL Apex Red looking pretty solid. They still have a full 3-man squad and full purple Evo shields. GFU does have a full squad, but they are running low on those shields there, and TK64, normally a Lifeline player on Caustic for this map, has only a blue Evo. They need to get some more damage out so they can get to that purple Evo, because in this final circle, especially with the sheer lack of natural cover, every bonus you can give yourself is going to count and really matter, especially when we know other squads have full purples across the board. I don't believe we've seen a single red Evo shield come out yet, though.
It was that change in play style, the avoiding the heavy damage early on teams. You figured out who it was and you just chose to land away from them. It seems to have worked out swimmingly for some of these squads. GFU obviously changed some things up, but are still Old Reliable does come through. They're going to utilize the high ground and then swiftly engage on the squad that's just trying to use these barricades for natural cover. We do see one player ends up getting knocked. This engagement might have been a little overzealous for GFU. They're dangerously low, but they managed to get those knocks and eliminations, and now it looks like Xenoplays is our top kill leader, but the ult comes through and they get eliminated too. It's 3 squads left standing.
That was a heartbreaking moment from GFU there. You play that beautifully, you get the drop, and then it all comes crashing down on you and you get absolutely destroyed from beyond the grave. GCU Pookies, that first red Evo of the match, coming a little late in, but on Anteater. Grizz Wheat, just Hushlow left. Gonna go ahead and grab that utility from the Lifeline ultimate, but they have been drone detected. They need to migrate. The Pookies are getting a good scan of the low ground here. That's a great use of their utility, allowing them to survey the ground beneath them where they know all those squads are going to be hiding. Just below the ridges of each of these rocks, and Pookies are taking a fight onto Hushlow, who does fall, meaning it is once again the GCU Pookies and Southern Arc Blue battling it out for the win, our final 2 squads in this final circle. And it's GCU Pookies.
Well,
These teams, they're just going to keep going back and forth. It's a coin toss.
I mean, honestly, if you're GCU Pookies, you don't want to get third-partied twice by Southern Arc Blue, and they sent a sacrificial lamb down to take care of the one person who's hiding out by the street barricade, and we saw that player from Pookies got eliminated, I believe, but we can actually take a quick look at the replays from that map in general, see what production thought was the best moments of that game, which are brought to us by Advanced GG, our proud sponsors. So if you need a little extra focus, a little bit of extra energy, or help sleeping, be sure to check out advancedgg.com.
And the GCU Pookies are, again, proving that they are able to adapt in ways many other teams are struggling to right now, because they have consistently outplayed other squads, and once they realized that other squads were avoiding them because they knew they could win that gunfight, they were still finding ways to get value out of their utility. And when it came down to it, they had those red evos, they had the materials they needed, and they were able to just win it out. They played their land well, they played consistently well throughout this entire round on World's Edge.
Well, as much as I want to highlight GCU Pookies more, other teams also did perform decent, not as good as they'd want to. GFU, I'd really hoped that your little trap would have worked out, but you know, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you. No one was going to fall for it a second time, in my opinion. We saw people try to set these traps in the second map, and they just were not working out. So, thankfully, squads recognize what's happening, they stopped doing it. I don't know if we'll see a resurgence of these awkward the camping a building strat in map number 3, but for now, I think we can tuck them away and say bye-bye to those strategies. Now, the real question that I'm going to be asking of our analysts, who we'll be bringing in here shortly, is what type of strategies we might actually end up seeing as we go into the third and final map of the evening. GCU's taken a map, Southern Arc has taken a map, but now let's you and I made predictions. I mean, like, I predicted Southern Arc Blue. They were successful. Then GCU Pookies, the one day I don't root for a GCU team, they managed to be successful. You are rooting for San Jose, but now let's bring in PT Loser, Chase, and ask him who he's rooting for our final map.
What's up, guys? I am definitely rooting for GFU this time around. I've seen them consistently in end zone locations, but I don't like their composition right now. I've seen the, I want to call it like the box like a fish, composition from GCU Pookies. They have the Fuse ultimate that just puts a ring around the Rosie and says, "You're in my cage," like a Malga ultimate. And then we have the Horizon Pull ultimate. It's just so many fun things from the Pookie composition. But it's such a passive composition from GFU. But I'm still rooting for them. Play around those caustic barrels a little bit more and work it out in the end.
Okay, that is your sage advice coming from the one and only Chase, who's rooting for you, GFU Esports. So hopefully you take it, someone heard it, and you roll with it. If we see some goofy camping action again, I'm pretty sure one of our observers will catch it, because that was absolutely silly. Now, that being said, Chase, Liz, and myself, and the teams, I think we all deserve a quick break to go grab some water, stand up, stretch our legs, because we're about to jump into our last map of the day. So we'll be right back with a little more Apex action in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere. And welcome back to our ECAC Apex Legends broadcast. This is week 1 of our playoffs, and we are about to jump into very shortly map 3, which is still World's Edge, to round out our final day. As a quick reminder, we are in checkmate style, so it is first to 45 points and then to get a victory, and then if points are tied, then we look at kills, yada yada. It's exactly how ALGS runs the things. With that being said, I am Artie. Alongside me is Liz. And Liz, based off what we've seen so far, what do you think is going to be the change we witness from map 2 to map 3?
Ooh, that is the question of the day for sure, because it's really right now the Pookies and Southern Arc Blue competing for the win. So any other squads, if they want to find their footing and secure a win and maybe throw their hat in the ring for the victory, I think they need to be a little more sure of themselves. We're seeing a lot of squads that have been playing really, really passionately throughout this entire season start to pull back. We've never seen a camping strategy like that from GFU, so that was a total game changer for them, but kind of in a negative way, because while they were waiting for somebody to hopefully stumble into their trap, they were missing out on valuable kill time. And like you said, the tiebreaker decision is going to come down to eliminations, right? So you need to make sure you're taking fights you know you can win, instead of hanging back. I think in playoffs, it's tempting to play overly safe instead of playing exactly how you normally would. But playing exactly how you normally would is what got you into our top 20, and it's what's gotten you into playoffs. So, I mean, that's my take on it. But we can take a look at the rankings and see how it's going.
I also want to just give a little insight here. None of our two winning teams thus far have not used a camping strategy, and the other squads that we're witnessing here, we haven't seen enough of, but we do know that some of you have used camping strategies. From 20th to 11th place currently, it's Muskingum Black, Weber State Junior Varsity, ULL Apex Black, RCM Apex, Weber State Varsity, LIU Apex, WFU Coruscant, GCU Moonlight, and ULL Apex Red, and then FC Apex in our 11th spot.
And then our top 10 teams are currently Cat U Apex, San Jose State Apex Blue, WSU Esports, Fanshawe Fuel, ODU Club Apex, UMT Grizz Wheat, Idaho Vandals, GFU Esports, Southern Arc Blue, and the GCU Pookies are in first place with 21 points. We are looking at a total of 52 points for the Pookies, which means they're in that checkmate position. If they win in this next map, they are winning it all here today.
Theoretically speaking, Southern Arc Blue can also get a lot of kills, but that really is, it comes down to, can you prevent the Pookies from winning this map? That is what it is. The goal for everyone mutually at this moment, there is no prisoner's dilemma, as I mentioned in the highlights. It is, do not let the Pookies win. You need to recognize where they are, either avoid them, or if there is another team that's kind of theoretically attempting to third party, you need to third party the Pookies, not the squad that they're going after, and get them eliminated early.
I second the idea of getting them eliminated early, because we have seen the Pookies, they are getting their red evos faster than literally any other squad out there right now. They are using every single piece of their utility to its maximum potential, and they are really, really a formidable team to be going up against in the final ring, of course, as we've seen. So getting them out early is really the only way for another squad to swoop in and win this. And if Southern Arc Blue wants to win, they need to have been taking note of where the Pookies were landing, so they can hopefully get the drop on them early and get them out before they rack up too many elimination points. Southern Arc, again, does need to be playing for elimination points here, like you said, but there are other squads. Anybody in our top 5 could theoretically get quite a few points and work their way up. San Jose State, I know you're in 9th place, but I'm still rooting for you. Here's how San Jose State can still win, right? But that being said, our squads are dropping. So let's take a note of where the Pookies and Southern Arc Blue are landing.
I believe almost all the squads have jumped out of the ship, so yes, we can take a look now and try and figure out. I do see SJSU heading over to Lava Fissure currently. Goats Eats Grass and Company, that's GFU, heading just a little north of that. Watson as well as Diamond choosing to... Again, we have what is going on at the middle of the point? We already have an engagement going on. It wasn't me and Rubber Feet. That is ODU Club Apex taking on, yes, they're fighting the GCU Pookies, I believe, very early. They took my advice, but then they turned it on its head slightly and are trying to eliminate the top dogs fast.
That is exactly what you want to do here, and it's also Cat U Apex taking on a brawl right now with another squad. They have the high ground advantage, and Shadow gets the knock onto Shmubby, and they're going for the finisher. That is brutal for San Jose State. Shmubby is down and out, and San Jose is already down a player. Cat U Apex is leaving no prisoners in this situation.
We're going to transition over to... Actually, we'll just take a look at how Cat U just successfully pulled off this dive in, dive out play. They removed one, and then I think there was no one else around them, unfortunately, and there also was a fabulous finisher that came through. I love it, because that's the second time we've seen a finisher actually on broadcast. And we've played a lot of Apex at this point, so I was a little surprised we've only seen 2 thus far. Idaho Vandals, we're taking a look at you. You're going to send the scan out. The question is, do you see anybody? You don't. Instead, we're going to focus back on Cat U. I don't know if there's anyone near them. There is. One of their teammates already needs to be revived, but thankfully they'll manage to make it out alive.
And Cat Yu up in the lounge enjoying some relaxing time with Mr. Mirage and all of his clones. Meanwhile, there are several squads converging beneath them that is going to start to pose a challenge as they migrate in. Fortunately for those center teams, including the Pookies, the next ring is going to be in the southmost half of the map and centered nicely. So any of our squads that decided to take a gamble on the northern half of the map need to migrate south with some haste here. And we are already down San Jose State. No, it looks like Shmubby is up there over by Lava Fissure. I was wrong. They were able to get that revive off, so San Jose State is still in this, but Cat Yu did make a statement, a heck of a statement with that finisher as well.
We also have an engagement happening at the very northernmost point of the map between, I believe, one of the Montana squads and another school, but we're looking at Idaho Vandals, the state just to the left when you're looking at that map. They managed to find a knock and elimination. They did end up having Forza go down, who's in need a little bit of healing. They're going to be able to loot up and take what they want and continue forward. It's Lil Baka and Bookworm raining fire onto a squad that I think is trying to... Oh, it is just Jake Dub.
And that is our sole survivor for the Idaho Vandals, it looks like, with Moonlight converging in, but Jackadub is not going to go down without a fight, taking all of the shields away from Lil Baka here. But Order and Bookworm are closing in to cut off you, Jackadub, and that is Jackadub down. 18 squads, 50 players in this map. Looks like the Vandals are still in because we didn't get a squad wipe alert. So there is still somebody hanging out around here, and GCU Moonlight wants to use that Bloodhound sonar to find them. They want that squad wipe. They want those eliminations, but they're not finding anybody. This last Vandal is a tricksy one here, and GFU also locked in an engagement with a Bangalore ultimate coming out. They are needing to make a mad dash away from this if they want to get to safety.
I don't know what the Vandals were cooking, leaving one player left stranded. We've seen the bait and switch, but unfortunately I think the engagement from the backup didn't happen in time, and perhaps already being down one player, someone called for it to happen, and then there was a disagreement. We'll never know. We're going to look back at Cat Yu Apex, who's currently looking like they're relatively healthy. No one on the map, I believe, just yet has gone above maybe the purple shield, so being at the blue point right now, or cyan if you really want to get serious about it, is okay. It's not as ambitious a shield development as we saw previously, but I don't think we'll ever see that again.
Definitely not, as our teams have started to catch on to their strategy. And if you take a look at our map here, that green circle is going to be our next ring after the one we're currently on, which means that Southern Arc, GCU, and along with those three other squads there, it looks like we have Fanshawe Fuel, our fourth place team, along with RMC, Apex, and Muskingum University Black. Those squads are set to go. They've either gotten really lucky or accurately predicted the next ring, but the squads that need to make their way down are locked in a battle. We have two squads going at it right now. Meanwhile, the third squad still over by the Skyscrapers. That could potentially third party here as Warden and Robot Ninja take on Lone Wolf. 3 players are down. And that looks like a squad wipe.
That is, and Lone Wolf was in kind of a pinched off position, but bided their time beautifully is the only way I can put it. You mentioned those people over by Skyscrapers. I don't think they were in a spot where they actually could go for the third party despite everyone getting extremely low. Now the question is are these third parties going to start happening? We have not seen a third party thus far. Yes, Ring 1 is only just now starting to close, but at this point when we saw people get so hostile against one another as early as we did, dropping in early, taking on fights with top dogs, it begs the question of, are we going to see third parties? Are we going to get bloodthirsty? GCU Moonlight is taking a little bit of a riskier rotation, in my opinion, trying to push into a squad that is out in the open because it puts themselves out in the open as well.
And Cat Yu is going to be wrestling with that same decision right now, as it looks like they have taken some fire from a squad across the bridge from them. They're trying to use these boxes and the pipe to give them some natural coverage, but the other team is doing the exact same thing, and that means they need to push in and make a commitment here. Shadow unable to find any hostiles with that sonar scan, but Risky is taking fire, and so they know there's somebody nearby. Southern Arc Blue pushing it on Perp Drank, XV Lone, and Rubber Feet as well. Cat Yu now in a really tricky spot as they've committed to dropping into this building. And Southern Arc, a squad you do not absolutely want to run into right now, has their number.
CatU once again going for the camping strategy we saw work out not so great for other squads previously, but there's another team doing something very similar in the opposing building. I don't know if this is going to work out in favor of either of them, but I do know that GFU is encroaching on CatU's positions currently, so we can take a quick look at how those two are shaken out here in a little bit. But for now, let's focus on ODU Club Apex. They're using natural cover as well as a lot of smokes to help rotate and heal up. They have yet to really find anybody. They do have one elimination to their squad. Will they find another? They're attempting to, but the high ground differentiation plus that natural cover is not working out. CatU Apex, are you going to get blitzed on here? As I know, based off the map, there was someone nearby, but it looks as though they've evacuated the premises. We're going to, once again, initiate those smokes and use that to rotate.
Using those smokes might seem like it would reveal your position because now everybody can see the giant cloud. They know where you are, but it's going to provide them the cover they need to make it up and close the distance between GFU and ODU, who are now locked in with Southern Arc Blue as well. There are 4 squads closing in on this building. Looks like Southern Arc has that penthouse area absolutely locked down. The massive shots coming out, but yes, there are in fact at least 3 squads in this building. We're seeing ODU, Southern Arc, and one more collapsing on one another. Everybody's still only at blue shields and nobody's taking significant damage. One squad has decided to make a run for it, and Southern Arc jumps up to try to put out some damage on the top, but the squad atop the building just on the other side is now returning fire, allowing that 3rd squad to escape. Southern Arc has to turn their attention now to Perpdrank, who's really making it difficult for them to escape this building.
Both these squads are kind of actually pinning each other down, and I'm just waiting on when someone picks up on the fact that there's 2 locked in this kind of stalemate between each other. Southern Arc is locking themselves in the building, something we've not seen really too much from them since, I want to say, midway through our standard weak plays. We're going to give out some utility to our teammates, let them heal up as we have the cover created by blockading the doors. But Southern Arc, someone's going to figure it out, and they're going to engage heavily onto your location.
And when that happens, the other squad will have that oh so fun opportunity to collapse in and third party you. So you either need to make a move or risk getting third-partied right now, but it looks like both ODU and Southern Arc are going to play the long game here, taking the time, swapping around their guns. There is a devotion now in the hands of Perpdrank. Meanwhile, the zone has just a minute left on its closing, and Grizz Wheat nearby as well.
I
Grizz
told
Wheat,
you, at some point, someone's going to figure it out.
Yeah, they are down 1, which probably is going to make them hesitant to engage here. But there's another squad on the horizon as well. It's becoming a really tricky stalemate in the southern half of this map here.
The northern half, though, is locked in an engagement as we see Nova champion the rest of their squads, which is Random Shadows, and I want to say it's Narita. I might mispronounce that, I apologize, is surrounding this blue team inside the lower half of Harvester. There's also Watson's team just chilling out over near the edge of the ring, I think possibly anticipating the eventual exodus of whichever team's victorious from that engagement to walk out of the building, and perhaps try to catch them off guard.
Looks like meanwhile Grizz Wheat and Southern Arc have realized that they are in the same area here. LIU Apex joining the fray, and that Octane does get knocked down for LIU. LIU now down 2. It's just Nova Champion left who's half health here. The poor Pathfinder. LIU has been eliminated. We're at 13 squads, 37 players left in this match, and it was GFU that struck the final blow. Let's check in on Idaho Vandals. I believe this squad is in 3rd or 4th place overall right now, so they are still in it to win it. There is a chance that they could set themselves up really well into week 2 of the playoffs, even if they don't get the win today.
I am curious just about that team that was waiting for the third party outside of the building, because currently the Idaho Vandals, they're a little bit more calm than I think they should be at this point in time.
It does look like they are not really stressed about hitting the safe zone yet. They're willing to risk a little bit of a sunburn to grab that last little bit of loot. Little do they know, there is a squad right above them in this building. These buildings are really proving tricky for these teams. I imagine they can all hear each other's footsteps, but nobody wants to make that move. This is the final round of the final map, and that is Southern Arc Blue eliminated. We're down to 11 squads left, and the GCU Pookies only has Pander left alive. That is the Pookies down too. It's anybody's game now. Fanshawe Fuel here, the only squad with almost full purple evos across the board that we've seen so far. But both of our frontrunners are absolutely gone, which means that is no set win for either the Pookies or Southern Arc Blue, and it's going to come down to elimination points.
We do still have GCU Moonlight standing. They're one of these squads up above. Also, one of our duo teams is the only way I can put it. Weber State Varsity still standing. I don't know if JV is still in the fray. We have 10 squads left standing, so theoretically, yes. But let's actually take a quick look at our mega map to see where everybody's at. Idaho Vandals are doing a little bit of damage, though, so let's see if High Ground, are we going to get a quit engagement?
Again, the Vandals are really well seated right now. They are playing this very, very patiently, and that's not typically a play style I, as a caster, love, as you guys have probably noticed over the past few weeks, but it's paying off well for them, and they are moving up. They're placing probably better than they did in the last round here, and same for GFU. Both of these squads are surviving a little bit longer than they have in the past here, but the Vandals still have 2 blue evos, only 1 purple evo. They need to earn those evos here. I think there's still only 1 squad that has full purple across the board, because ULL Apex Black still has only blues, and in fact Statics is gonna go down here, leaving just KO and Hydro. The Hydro gets knocked too, and it's KO left alive here, taking on this battle desperately, getting a knock, and ULL Apex has been eliminated.
ODU Apex is still standing. They're going to manage to revive their fellow teammates. Honestly, that forward push was a little risky. I respect it because you did manage to take out one of the powerhouse squads that was still left standing. Now we're transitioning over to FC Apex. This is Fisher College. They've done the scan. They know there's 3 people nearby. The question is, where are they? They're looking. We have another Kraber in hand. It's going to give you long sight lines down this entire roadway, but you're lacking a lot of natural cover when doing so. I think they believe everyone's underneath them based off of that scan, but the longer you stay outside, the riskier it gets.
And we haven't seen much of FC Apex this round, but they've clearly been putting in work behind the scenes, because we have 2 red evos on Schmalz and AB SXP. Silent Josef is still on that purple, but that is not a bad place to be, especially when a lot of your competition is at that blue evo level. Order has the high ground across from FC right now. Little Baka and Bookworm taking the low ground to support Order, who I imagine has probably a Kraber at this point if they're lucky. Xenoplays and GFU Esports. We got 2 red evos for TK64 and Go East Grass. GFU's very much on the low ground here. That is not really ideal for them when we know that at least 2 of the squads have, or one of the squads has a Kraber, and at least 2 have snipers set up and posted. GFU needs to make a break for that rope, but there is somebody waiting at the rope, camping it for them, keeping them trapped down here beneath the bridge. Meanwhile, above them, all heck is breaking loose.
Someone did just get eliminated as we transition to the flyby camera. Fanshawe Fuel is choosing to use the Nemesis to try and chip down at some people, possibly locating their entire squad. We see the pings going out. They know where everyone is at. We also have this ultimate online from Caustic, which could be beneficial in this situation. I do believe we're going to engage on that squad after doing the initial chip damage, but this is where we were just looking at, blocking people from getting up above the bridge. So I don't know if Fanshawe Fuel is aware that there is literally another team waiting to jump on them for the third party.
That is absolutely a possibility because there are 6 squads left, 16 players. Fanshawe taking heavy fire, and they are trapped up against the ring. Our final zone is in the worst possible position. There's no way for them to reach the high ground now. The rope has been cut off by the storm, and at this point, you do not want to risk that sunburn. That thing will melt you faster than you can heal. Fanshawe, though, we do have full purple evos. They are taking fire from across the map. They have been sonar detected. There's a squad right behind them, still on that high ground, desperately setting up those caustic barrels. It's GFU across the circle from them, also on the low ground. Bosker, Robot Ninja, and Lone Wolf holding down probably the ideal position in this zone, which is that last remaining podium.
Honestly, based off positioning alone, Lone Wolf and company seem to be posted for a more successful sustain throughout all this chaos. They even managed to drop down a care package to themselves throughout everything because there's no way anyone can get up there. If they try, they risk the other squad that's still on the ground eliminating them, or they're just going to get shoved back down off the ledge in the attempt to surmount the squad that is up there. So it leaves it down to this choice of these two teams to engage on one another, but doing it in a manner that allows them to avoid the damage from above. But that is just extremely difficult considering the vantage point that this team has, but they're not paying attention, and GFU managed to get a little chip damage done onto them, but it's not enough to find an elimination.
If you have to be one of those teams on the low ground right now, I would favor GFU's position. They are able to, they have more access to natural cover in a larger area under their control, but they are taking quite a lot of damage. And Weber State Varsity is absolutely on the lookout for any heads they can spy over the tops of those rocks. They have been sonar detected, so there is a squad making a break for them at that rope there, but they just have such a command of this final zone. I mean, they can see everyone.
Weber doesn't even really have to move. They can just stay up there and wait for these two teams to eliminate, either fully eliminate one team and just to go take care of the last remaining squad. But there is a squad that's camping underneath them currently that's using the threat of taking damage from the high ground opponents to provide them with extra cover, which is interesting because it does force our varsity team up here to end up using more utility than the team that's underneath them. So when they eventually go for the engage, it could be a situation where that drop is going to be the elimination of Weber.
And we are down to our remaining 2 squads. I believe it is Weber State, and it looks like AB, SXP, and Silent Joseph. We have gotten the knock onto one other. Weber State has decided to make that drop and commit, but that is at the cost of both Lone Wolf and Bosker here, leaving just one left alive for Weber State here, going up against AB, SXP.
It's down to just Fisher and Weber. Waiting on that high ground too long, I thought was gonna not work out in your favor, but Weber, congratulations, you got the map 3 victory.
They did, and those points could mean everything. Of course, we're still waiting to see the results of our ultimate winner for this series, but let's hear a little bit from you, PT. What are your thoughts on that absolute crazy win? I mean, both the Pookies and Southern Arc going down. What a game changer. That allowed Weber State and Fisher, all of these other squads, to come in and really show off their skills.
I think it really comes down to what you guys mentioned previous, is that high ground location is essential, especially when you have a caustic on your team. You can use those barrels and utilize them and see those red little pings. It's really essential to getting that information. And then again, that tucked underneath high ground location's also the second best spot. But there's only one member left in that squad. They're just camping down there, hoping that they, take that engagement like we saw in previous, where JC Pookies went down a member and then the third party situation happened. Honestly, that high ground is so hard to deal with. And then the lifeline care package too, just getting that essential loot late game. You don't even have to go for the boxes or take those fights. Really good job, essential for them.
Well, Chase, why don't you join us as we take a look at all of the replays from our final map, and perhaps we'll end up seeing what that last couple of seconds of the ring, and possibly the also situation where I said I literally can't see anything because there was so much smoke being dropped during the final ring's closing. That makes casting really hard for everyone that's currently playing. Well, I understand it's advantageous for you, but wow, it looked like it was a literal sea of smoke.
That sea of smoke is what got Weber their win today. CatU Apex always consistently in the top for a lobby with that disgusting finisher onto Shmubby. That one breaks my heart for you, San Jose, but I mean, hey, kudos, Cat you.
It's honestly an epic moment, especially with that background of smoke, like you guys mentioned. But again, these fights early were crazy to me because map 1 and 2, we saw so passive from all the teams. They were playing really, really passive. But now these fights taking place, not rotating in between POIs, but saying, hey, I know there's going to be a third party imminent. I will be proactive here. And we saw that from these teams.
It looked as though some of the teams got the message to not play passive anymore. The Pookies, game 1, not passive in any capacity. However, game 3, we had, I think, in total 4 squads locked in a stalemate in 2 different locations where they were just trying to poke damage at each other, and it lasted so long that at some point, another team's going to catch on that there's things going down, and that ended up happening. Southern Arc Blue got punished. I don't exactly remember how we got the GCU Pookies eliminated, but I believe it was literally they got too big for their britches in a situation, and it ended up biting them in the heels. But this final fight, absolutely ridiculous. Fabulous way to close out the end of our first playoff broadcast, and thank you to Advanced GG for sponsoring all of our highlights. Now, next week, things will be a little bit different, but we are, as we previously mentioned, this is playoffs, and so it is technically checkmate style. And I want to see where everything shakes out as far as points go, but if you end up missing that here with us, you can always check out the ECAC Twitter, which is ECAC_esports, or you can follow myself, Chase, or Liz on Twitter. Now, with that being said, let's hop on over to those results and see where everyone landed for the end of our first day of playoffs.
Our bottom 10 teams are currently Muskingum Black, Weaver State JV, RMC Apex, LIU Apex, ULL Apex Black, WFU Coruscant, ULL Apex Red, Cat U Apex, GCU Moonlight, and San Jose State Apex Blue.
And we can now hop over to take a look at those top 10 teams. And remember, everyone that placed in top 6 per map got bonus points. From 10th to 1st, it's going to be UMT Grizz Wheat, WSU Esports, FC Apex, ODU Club Apex, Idaho Vandals, Fanishaw Fuel, Weber State University, Southern Arc Blue, GFU Esports, and the GCU Pookies. Now, remember, GCU Pookies have yet to actually win a map post hitting that 45 points. GFU Esports not far behind. Same with Southern Arc. Same with WSU Varsity. Same with Fanishaw Fuel. They're all within striking distance and can theoretically get enough points to put themselves at the lockout, at the checkpoint point as well in this entire playoff series.
So it is, of course, still anybody's game, but that does put GCU Pookies in an almost uncontestable spot for next week. They have quite a bit of a lead, but as you probably noticed, GFU, what they lacked in placement points, they made up for in elimination points. So these squads can always have a time to advance, and I believe that brings us to the end of our broadcast today.
It does. I'm curious to see what changes happen between this week and next week. You touched on it a little bit. GFU actually consistently does not get a lot of kills, so it's nice to see them changing things up and actually finding those eliminations, considering there's such bloodthirsty players in this lobby. But we'll have to see next week what the change in strategy is. But for now, from all of us here at the ECAC family, we hope you stay happy, stay healthy, and have a good rest of your night. We'll see you next week.